सबको मेरा प्रणाम। मेरा नाम शेखर शेषाद्री है। राष्ट्रीय मानसिक स्वास्थ्य और स्नायु विज्ञान संस्था बेंगलोर, जो केंद्र सरकार स्वास्थ्य और परिवार कल्याण मंत्रालय के तहत आता है, वहां मैं बाल और किशोर मनोरोग विभाग में सीनियर प्रोफेसर के पात्र में काम करता हूं। गुड इवनिंग लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, नमस्ते। आई एम शेखर शेषाद्री, Senior Professor of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences under the Ministry of Health, Bangalore. Well, the ABCs of child mental health and its link with child protection. Ladies and gentlemen, please indulge me just for 2 minutes before we get into the core of one of the issues that really forms the structure and the premise of any work that addresses child protection and mental health is our notions of childhood and child development. बच्चों के बारे में और बचपन के बारे में हमारी कल्पना क्या है, हमारे विचार क्या है, हमारा अभिप्राय क्या है, and how do we really conceptualize childhood? And this is very critical to, and I will explain as we go along the importance of this. I would request you to very briefly just close your eyes just for a minute, and at the end of a minute, I will thank you. Just close your eyes for a minute and remember your childhood days. Revisit places, people, events that occurred, your friends and play and travel and journeys and grandmothers and nice things that happened, or perhaps not so nice things. Examinations, oh my God. Illness, doctors, Hai Tauba injection. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. May I invite anyone to just unmute yourself and just share where this journey took you? What memory came to your mind when you closed your eyes and remembered your childhood? Perhaps we can start with Anuradha, ma'am.
Okay, my most vivid memory of childhood is running up mountains wearing a frock.
Kya baat hai?
I'm a Himachali, was in Shimla, just running up mountains like a goat, which I can't do now, but that's wearing a frock and running up mountains was the biggest pleasure I think we ever had.
I want you to note the organic nature of the memory. It's about a mountain, it's about running up, it's about a certain dress, it's about agility. And you know, this is something that occurred many years ago, but it is still a vivid memory. That anyone else?
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a memory. I'm Cecilia from Kara. And I have, every time anyone talks to me about my childhood, it's about climbing up rocks to look for lizards. You know, those orange black ones we used to get.
Chameleon.
So yeah, again, an agility memory, as you would call it.
And a memory of agility, but also a memory of nature and of a child's connection with nature. And there is such texture and nuance to this memory, you know, of the rocks and this chameleon which changes colors to, you know, if it's a leaf, it changes it to green, and if it's a reddish rock, it changes to orange. That, you know, and that's how organic the memory is. Another share? Anyone?
Okay, Shekharji, if I am to share, then
Please, Parulji.
Remember childhood as a time of lot of play, lot of people who were around to listen to the telltales, and so much to share and so much to listen from others, you know. I think the pleasure of being with people is what I so fondly remember. And when I meet children now is something that I see so much of a contrast, you know, so much of a contrast. But I think I was blessed to have so many people around me, time to be at grandparents' place, maternal and paternal,
क्या
looking
बात है,
forward for chuttis, you know, the summer vacation, the shera break. There used to be times of, marked with events. This will happen now.
क्या बात
Times.
है, क्या बात है. Look at the texture of Parulji's memories, you know, of snatches of conversation, you know, of spaces shared. That, and you know, again, we are talking about a memory that was many years ago, but is still retained with a certain organicity in how our contemporary and our current remembrances and memories are structured. Does anyone have a childhood memory that was somewhat difficult that you would like to share? This is a safe space, I assure you. Yes?
Sir, I am SG Gangur.
Ji, sir.
I am working in NIPSID Regional Center, Indore.
Ji.
I was in Bangalore up to 1998.
Ji, sir.
Sir, actually, my childhood days were very dynamic, and most of the time I had been in the pond. I was swimming. I was moving into forest with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I was riding horses and other animals like buffaloes, cows, and all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was normally troubling teachers, some teachers, along
Mm-hmm.
with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, I realized that whatever I was doing was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed really all my childhood years,
Mm-hmm.
during the primary school years as well as high school years.
श्रीनिवास जी के विवरण पे थोड़ा गौर फरमाइएगा. सी, एक तरफ एनिमल्स और नेचर के साथ और पानी के साथ संपर्क जो है, बच्चों का पानी के साथ इतना गहरा संपर्क होता है, बट देन ऑन द अदर हैंड श्रीनिवास जी मूव्स इनटू अ मेमोरी दैट इज on the verge of difficult, and from where the transition to any kind of trauma, कि जो भी उनकी शैतानी थी, उनका नटखटपन था, और जब एहसास हुआ इनको कि स्कूल पे या टीचर्स पे क्या प्रभाव है, या टीचर्स की तरफ से इनको फीडबैक मिला, तो अपने व्यक्तित्व के बारे में और अपने व्यवहार के बारे में, about identity, you know, the kind of realization that takes place and the kind of conflict that it creates. That, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why we are doing this exercise, how did you feel when you revisited childhood memories, or which were happy versus difficult or traumatic ones? What is it that helps when childhoods are difficult? What is it that helps you cope? And what is the importance of being in touch with your own childhood so that you know what it is like to be a child? बच्चे खुश क्यों होते हैं, गुस्सा क्यों होते हैं, उदास क्यों होते हैं? और ये सेंसिटिविटी जो है अति मुख्य है बच्चों के साथ. अगर इफेक्टिवली काम करना हो, if one is aware of one's own feelings and emotions, one may understand another's feelings and emotions better. And most importantly, the impact of memories of how childhood events still impact us in adult life. इस भाग को कैप करने के लिए what I want to bring to your notice, भी हम किसी से भी पूछे कि भाई बचपन के बारे में क्या याद है, आपको वो याद होगा जो मेमोरी है, और वो मेमोरी है जो या तो बार बार हुआ या हुआ एक बार, लेकिन वो इतनी बड़ी घटना थी या इतना भयंकर घटना था कि अस्मरणीय है, भूले भी भुलाया नहीं जाता. इसीलिए तो लोग कहते हैं, you know what I remember about my childhood? I remember that I had a 100-year-old bell in my house, an antique bell. और मेरी जिम्मेदारी थी कि खाने के समय उसको मैं बजाऊं, और पूरा फैमिली इकट्ठा होता था, हम लोग साथ खाते थे, मजे करते थे. आज 35 साल की उम्र में वो मेरे घर की शोभा है. पता बचपन के बारे में क्या याद है? मुझे याद है कि मेरे परिवार में एक संस्कृति थी, एक परंपरा थी कि हर हफ्ते बाजू वाले अनाथ आश्रम में जाके हम कुछ सेवा करें, और वहां से मुझे प्रेरणा मिली, इंस्पिरेशन मिली सोशल वर्क करने की। और आज 40 साल की उम्र में इस कंपनी में मैं HRD सेक्शन में लीड हूं। पता बचपन के बारे में मुझे क्या याद है? आई रिमेंबर अबाउट माई चाइल्डहुड एवरी डे थिंकिंग व्हाई द हेल वाज आई बोर्न इन दिस फैमिली। बचपन के बारे में मुझे ये याद है कि हर रात मम्मी डैडी के कमरे के बाहर कान लगा के सुनना कि एक दूसरे को मार रहे हैं कि नहीं। So the importance of childhood memories in the context of child protection and mental health is this: because whenever we assist a child, we assist the child in the context of experiences, events that have already occurred historically, and we are trying to gather that information and the impact of of the memory. Which is why in the rendition of the mellifluous voice of the late Mr. Jagjit Singh, लफ्ज़ पता नहीं कितने लिखे हैं, how nicely he says, ये दौलत भी ले लो, ये शोहरत भी ले लो, भले छीन लो मुझसे मेरी जवानी, मगर मुझको लौटा दो बचपन का सावन, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी। ये दौलत भी ले लो, ये शोहरत भी ले लो, टेक away my wealth, take away my fame and reputation, भले छीन लो मुझसे मेरी जवानी, you can take away from me my youth, मगर मुझको लौटा दो वो बचपन का सावन, return to me the spring of childhood, वो कागज की कश्ती, वो बारिश का पानी, that paper boat that I used to float in the puddles made of rain. Next, Toro. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come to some core issues now. There are 5 key areas of child development: physical, social, language, cognitive and emotional. बाल विकास के 5 क्षेत्र हैं: दैहिक, सामाजिक, भाषा, बौद्धिक और भावनात्मक. These 5 areas are exceedingly important in understanding the relative impact of events and of life circumstances on a given child. Because which child are you dealing with? Is this a 2-year-old? Is this an 8-year-old? Is this a 16-year-old? Is this an 8-year-old bright child? Is this an 8-year-old child with intellectual disability? Is this an 8-year-old articulate child, or is this an 8-year-old child with hearing deficit and speech deficit? Is this a 14-year-old with mild intellectual disability or a 14-year-old with profound intellectual disability? Is this a 10-year-old who is emotionally resilient, or a 10-year-old who has post-traumatic stress disorder and is really agitated, upset, and in a state of turmoil because of something that has happened in this child's lives? तो ये बाल विकास के 5 क्षेत्र जो हैं, in a given child, when we assess that given child's predicament, वो व्यक्तिगत तौर से उस बालक या बालिका की विडंबना और उसकी परिस्थिति से हम जूझते हैं, उसका जब विश्लेषण करते हैं, उसको बाल विकास के दृष्टिकोण से, सो चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट लेंस से देखना अति आवश्यक है. शीला?
There are 3 contexts that we would particularly like to highlight when it comes to child development. The interesting thing is, child mental health is founded on the basis of child development, but ये protection और mental health के बीच में हम अक्सर बाल विकास भूल जाते हैं हमारे interventions में. आप शिशु मंदिर के example ले लीजिए, institutional children के या आंगनवाड़ी के. If you look at the Anganwadis, of course, the emphasis, and rightly, should be on health, nutrition, and so on. But ये non-formal education का मतलब क्या होता है? What is the purpose of it? it is actually early stimulation activities that should be done in order to get children to develop in these 5 areas. ताकि ये 5 क्षेत्र में अगर बच्चों का विकास हो तो they are prepared for school readiness जो कहते हैं, पढ़ने लिखने के लिए readiness, स्कूल जाने के लिए readiness, to separate from a primary caregiver and adult and go to school, which is about socio-emotional skills. ये बहुत ही important preparation आंगनवाड़ी में होता है and we don't recognize it enough. So there's a very strong developmental intervention issue that we really need to pay attention in Anganwadis. Likewise, आप अगर शिशु मंदिर में देखें तो what are we doing for children? ये children should be engaged, अक्सर कहते हैं, schedule होना चाहिए, routine engagement होना चाहिए. What should be the activities in that routine engagement? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what is supposed to be there. Activities that gear children to develop skills in these 5 areas is what we need to be doing, not just in Shishu Mandir, but age appropriately for children in older children institutions as well. So for example, do children have space to play and exercise? So physical development, social development. How do we get children to engage in groups and with each other? How do we teach social skills to children? Speech and language, story sessions, phone games. Hello, कितना डोसा खाया आज सुबह? मैंने 3 खाया. आपने और क्या किया आज? So, you know, when we play with toy telephones and so on with young children, or we look at stories and discussion games for older children to develop speech, language, and expression. We look at cognitive activities, puzzles, colors, you know, counting games and so on for young children. For older children, we look at life skills like problem solving, creative thinking, and so on for cognitive development. And similarly, for emotional development, how do we work with children to help them express their emotions, identify emotions, regulate emotions? Coming back to Anuradha ma'am's example of why did this girl shoot her family? Of course, we don't know the background, but एक चीज जो हमारे मन में आता है is the concept of emotional regulation. यानी कि भावनाओं को हथौटी में कैसे रखें? How do children learn to control difficult emotions such as anger, you know, anxiety, and so on? And what happens? What are the consequences for behavior when they lack the emotional skills or the development for appropriate emotional management or regulation? That is when we have incidents like the way Anuradha ma'am is describing. Moving on, or can we have the next? Let's take a quick look again at development and how it plays out. Again, the importance of development where protection, risks, and trauma is concerned. If you look at the top left extreme graph, as age increases, child development increases. ये पांचों क्षेत्र में बाल विकास जो है, normally with age it would increase, right? But you look at the other 3 graphs, you know, the one to the right and the ones below. You look at each stage, जैसे कि 5 साल में एक बच्ची का माँ गुजर गई, 12 साल में एक बच्चा का serious road accident हो गया, या 7-8 साल में a child suffered sexual abuse. Look at the curve and how development is impacted in case of a traumatic event or a protection risk that occurs. Unless a child is supported with a lot of interventions at that stage, the development in these 5 areas takes a downturn, and it can take quite a while for children to pick up after that. So why I'm bringing this to your notice is In all these instances, people talk a lot about mental health, trauma-focused therapy, and so on, all of which is absolutely essential and valid. But हम ये ना भूलें कि other than trauma-focused therapy to deal with loss, to deal with sexual abuse, we also need to look at the child's day-to-day development according to the child's age. School जा रहा है, friends के साथ खेल रहा है, is the daily routine allowing the child to move along the developmental trajectory in an age-appropriate manner. So that is why child development is one of the key pillars of child mental health and protection work. Move on. Go ahead, Dr. Shekhar.
May I interrupt?
Yes, please ask a question, sir.
No, I am not asking a question. Actually, I think there is a sub cap on maximum number of participants. There are, because I am getting calls and messages from many that they are not able to join. It is mentioning that there is a cap of 100 numbers. Is it so?
So we had actually opened it up to a higher number than 100. We will have our IT person immediately double check this, and we apologize for the inconvenience. So please bear with us while we open this session up. Before we move on,
actually, you can see how interested everybody is.
Yes. Yes, ma'am, that's true. I wanted to say one more thing before we move on from development, the child development issue to the Kara folk, because we have so many people from Kara. Child development is of critical importance in adoption work. When we do preparation of prospective adoptive parents, the very first step, even in categorizing a child in the special needs or the normal category, is for an institution to do a developmental assessment to see, number one, where to place the child. And then when a child comes up for adoption, the whole basis of parent education, the prospective parent education or psychoeducation is this. What stage is the child at vis-a-vis his or her age? If you were to adopt this child, what are some of the deficits and gaps? And what would you as parents need to do for this child in terms of early stimulation or to get the child up to speed? How do you stimulate the child? So early stimulation and developmental assessments are the basis of all Kara work.
Something that I'd like to share with you when we were having the session with Kara, one of the issues that a lot of people from Kara raised, and they all here, they will bear me out. They said what the prospective parents want is a perfect child. Gora hona chahiye, koi problem nahi hona chahiye, kuch. And I wonder, are they really capable of looking after a child when they reject a child saying कि इसका मुझे रंग नहीं पसंद आया या इसका background क्या था और ये 2 से 3 महीने का होना चाहिए. If you're taking a child, I always feel, then you have to take in a lot of other things also, and your own children are never perfect.
Absolutely, ma'am. Since you mentioned that, it is true that that's how it plays out. A, people want the perfect child, and B, that's one of the reasons why we are so particular when people come to us for pre-adoption assessments to really tell parents what it would entail. Because what has happened in cases, and I think the Kara folk would definitely know this also, in cases where parents have not been prepared and not been informed about, some of the deficits and issues that a child may have, then they return children. And the third thing that we've been asked to do often is to predict into the future that this child will continue to be perfect and not have any learning disabilities or anything else. So we do a lot of work at the preparatory stage also to assess the parents and suss out whether they really understand children and whether they're willing to undertake any child for that matter. As you said, even our children aren't free of deficits and disabilities, and that could be a biological child too. Has nothing to do with adoption, really. Right? So shall we move on, Dr. Shekhar,
yes,
to children at risk?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Sheila. Thank you very much for bringing it to a notice. Manoj, our tech person will handle it. We had already actually discussed this with Madhulika and extended it to 250. Maybe there's a tech glitch. We'll take care of it. My deepest apologies. Before I come to the substantive part of child protection and some of the basics of mental health, let's look at categories of risk. Now, traditionally, ये list जो आप निशान देख रहे हैं, orphaned and abandoned children, कभी-कभी OVC acronym का भी उपयोग होता है, orphaned and vulnerable children, street and working children, HIV infected and affected, disability of different kinds and different severity, and adolescents who are affected by gender and sexuality vulnerabilities. तो इसमें trafficking का मामला, child sexual abuse, and adolescents in conflict with the law. So JJ 2015 में जो children in need of care and protection and children in conflict with the law का मुद्दा जो था, और उस पे आधारित see the categories of children at risk are there. Now, so this is a traditional way in which we conceptualize. But let me remind you again of our discussion with the Honorable Minister, where she said that while we will, through this initiative, address vulnerable children and children in difficult circumstances, there are children who may not come in the conventional definition of difficult circumstances and vulnerability, who are equally deserving of assistance and help. And therefore, we wish to reach them also. And how does that play out? Next slide, Oro. And this is how it plays out. Now look at the context of vulnerability. आप संस्थाओं में जो बच्चे हैं, child care agencies में, and where they avail of care, protection, rehab services, तो एक तो institutionalization children में context of vulnerability. But if you look at non-institutionalized children, ये अपने families के साथ हैं. They are in communities, but they are in communities that expose them to multiple psychosocial risk factors, one of which is physical sexual abuse and substance abuse and marital and family conflicts and violence, a concern about which has been expressed particularly in the pandemic and the lockdown scenario. Now, these children may have social networks, but these are often severely compromised, placing them at times at a much higher risk of abuse and exploitation than institutional children. And if you look at pathways of vulnerability, it's quite possible, ये संभव है कि they may come ultimately to be placed in an institution. Next, Oro. अब protection risks पे एक नजर डालें. Single parent families, experiences of rejection and abandonment. तो बाल विकास के दौरान ये संबंध, संपर्क और स्नेह का अनुभव जो है in child development, John Bowlby's concept of attachment and the attachment theory, even children in intact families can have attachment injuries. Parental separation hua or the child is abandoned, that's a more obvious sign of an attachment dynamic or pathology. But even in an intact family where there is parental discord and there are frequent separations, the mother goes to her natal home with the children, there is some reconciliation, they come back. All this also creates a sense of insecurity. But if you look at the whole experience of rejection and if you question the whole nature of adult-child relationship, बड़ों का बच्चों के साथ जो रिश्ता है, उसका आधार, उसकी संस्कृति क्या है? आदेश, उपदेश, अपेक्षा, instruction, expectation, control, and obedience, not a culture of conversations. Therefore, from a mental health perspective, the experience of rejection, at one end is the severe stuff, the trafficking, multiple, sexual abuse, abandonment. But at one end, it's as simple as a child bringing the report card and showing it to the father or the mother, and they take one look at it and they look at the child and then they look at the report card and they look at the child and no words are exchanged. But imagine the impact on a child Or they look at the report card, look at the child and say, what is this? How long will this go on? Or you're a disappointment to me. You'll never learn. Why are children like you born? Now, from a mental health perspective, we have, in our study of individuals who engage in self-harm behavior, when you study 100 of them, up to 90% of them have some point of time in their childhood been given a feedback that was dismissive of their capacity and inability, where their worth and efficacy was questioned. And that is internalized in the mind because you've already been told once. And when push comes to shove, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, that idea of rejection and the threat of abandonment always, structures the way in which experiences are processed, and then a child takes a decision. And then what happens to a child who experiences marital conflict or loss and grief to the death of the parent or an attachment figure? And for a young child, it is not even the death of a parent. It's the loss of a doll, it's the loss of a pet. It's loss of friendship when, somebody gets transferred. Because एक बच्चे के लिए अगर उनके पिता का है, उनके माता का ट्रांसफर हो काम के, they're in a transferable job. एक बच्चे के लिए वो केवल नया स्कूल नहीं है, नई शहर है, नया घर है, नया जोग्राफिया, नया स्कूल, नए को स्टूडेंट्स, न्यू टीचर्स, न्यू स्टाइल ऑफ टीचिंग, न्यू लैंग्वेज, एवरीथिंग इज न्यू. If there are more severe problems in the family, such as alcohol dependence, or a parent with mental illness or disability, या घर में हिंसा हो, या the child has been trafficked either for labor or for sex work, or the child is in conflict with the law, or there is illness and disability. Trafficking की हम बात करते हैं from a mental health perspective. Let me tell you one thing in terms of the relationship between social interventions and social interventions that are embedded in child protection and mental health. Raid, rescue, repatriate, reintegrate, rehabilitate, redress. Raid kiya, rescue kiya, repatriate to the family if available or an interim shelter, try to reintegrate with the family if available, if accepting. Otherwise, child care institute, कुछ rehabilitation कीजिए and compensation redressal. इसमें 2 R जो हैं, they are missing. Reclamation of personhood and reclamation of affirmative sexuality for those girls who've been trafficked for sex work. उनके व्यक्तित्व और अस्तित्व को वापस पाना. If you talk of mental health healing, these are very critical issues of how trauma is actually dealt with. That तो ये होगी protection risks, in children in institutions or even in non-institutional children existing in civil society. Oro next. अब आते हैं core issues पे to look at what the pathways to vulnerability is. आप अगर underlying causes पे नजर डालें, इमोशनल फैक्टर्स, डेप्रिवेशन, नेग्लेक्ट, एजुकेशन, जीवन कौशल्य से संबंधित समस्याएं जो हैं, पीयर इन्फ्लुएंसेस, सब्सटेंस अब्यूज, चाइल्ड लेबर और प्री एग्जिस्टिंग मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स जो हैं, और एक की परिभाषा अगर आप देखें, इमोशनल फैक्टर्स, ड्यू टू पेरेंटल मैरिटल प्रॉब्लम्स, ड्यू टू डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस, ड्यू टू abuse, due to alcohol dependence, due to punitive parenting, due to death and separation from caregivers. तो ये हो गया मूल आधार, अंडरलाइंग कॉज. परिणाम इमोशनल डिसरेगुलेशन. तो ये रेगुलेटरी मैकेनिज्म्स जो है इन मेंटल हेल्थ एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट, it has been proven beyond doubt that any child who is exposed to chronic emotional abuse, chronic trauma, it actually even affects brain structures, particularly those parts of the brain that are involved in the regulation of emotions. जैसे पंखा का रेगुलेटर होता है, वो अगर काम नहीं करे, पंखा या तो चलेगा नहीं या तो फुल स्पीड में ही चलेगा. तो गुस्से पे अनुशासन और संयम, घबराहट पे अनुशासन और संयम, और अटैचमेंट इश्यूज. तो and this is the funny thing in mental health and child development in the context of child protection. If a child's emotional needs are not met with, the child has love needs, they are not met with for whatever reason. There is parental discord, माता पिता में अनबन है, बाप दारू पीता है, हिंसा है, mother is depressed, she has her own legitimate issues, she's trying to protect the children, she doesn't want the children to aggravate the father, so her style of parenting ये सब होता है. A child whose love needs are not met with for whatever reason grows up into an adult who wants love, who craves for love, who demands love, who does not recognize love when it's given, who is dismissive of love, सब बकवास है, or who becomes an excessive giver of love. तो underlying cause और immediate cause और फिर उसका परिणाम क्या होता है? परिणाम का मैं आपको एक पूर्वानुमान दिखा रहा हूं, एक झलक दिखा रहा हूं कि what happens later in terms of mental processes that. तो बाल सुरक्षण के क्षेत्र में हम इस तरह की बारीकियां लाना चाहते हैं, और ये सरल तरीके से संभव है सीमावर्ती कार्यकर्ताओं के लिए भी. These are not complex or depth interventions there. So if you look at the whole list here of how early stimulation and growth opportunities give rise to developmental delays and learning difficulties, that शीला जी जब बात कर रही थी कि अर्ली चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशंस में जब बेसिक हैंड फंक्शंस पे जो प्री राइटिंग स्किल्स अगर नहीं होता है, when they at the age of 6 when they come to grade 1 and they have learning problems, is because taiyari, what we call as readiness skills. So how much is the importance of hand functions in early child care institutions for learning to be maintained? How important is the perioral musculature? Let me share with you a very unusual Devanagari Lipi jo hai, ladies and gentlemen, 3,000 years ago or thousands of years ago, when the Devanagari Lipi, look at the beauty of the consonants, not the vowels. इसका पहला लाइन जो है क ख ग घ अंग, आप अपने आप इसको बोलें क ख ग, आप देखेंगे कि ये शब्द जो है गले से आता है, क ख. नेक्स्ट इज च छ ज झ न, ये जीभ जो है पैलेट पे जाता है. फिर ट ठ ड ड, जीभ को मोड़ के पैलेट से ये करना. फिर त थ द द, द टंग इज बिटवीन द टीथ. और फिर प फ ब ब, it is with the lips. Look at the beauty of how the whole phonative mechanism is organized in such a way that, so the more you exercise these phonative or phonation mechanisms, उच्चारण जो है उससे, तो ये सब सरल बातें हैं if you look at it, and how with simple activities you and how you trace it back therefore to deprivation and neglect, and it's important to developmental delays. उसी तरह के educational issues जो learning difficulties होती हैं, या स्कूल में corporal punishment, जिसमें NCPCR has taken a very strong stand many years ago. And I was a member of that committee which came up with the guidelines against corporal punishment. And this is the reason why kids drop out of school. The worst thing you can do to a child who has ADHD, who has a learning problem, jo badmash hai, natkat hai, the worst thing you can do is to suspend him from school, because you're assuring that he will have unstructured time, unsupervised time, and he will be with other school dropouts and other peers and get into a pathway to vulnerability. School is the safest place for a child to be. Of course, अब तो कोविड के दौरान स्कूल बंद है, लेकिन going ahead, these are things we need to keep in mind as we plan our systemic interventions in the context of child protection. उसी तरीके से जीवन कौशल्य से संबंधित जो भी कमियां हैं, problem solving, ability to say no, नेगोशिएशन, तो जो समस्याओं की प्रक्रिया दिमाग में किस तरीके से होती है, प्रॉब्लम्स को कैसे प्रोसेस करते हैं, खास करके हाई रिस्क सिचुएशन में, how to work with peer pressure so that you don't get into antisocial activities, you don't get into addictions, you don't get into substance abuse, you don't get into vulnerable situations of child labor leading to, or child labor के situation और उसकी परिस्थिति कैसी है. And add to it children who have pre-existing problems, पूर्व उपस्थित anxiety, पूर्व उपस्थित attention deficit hyperactivity, और उससे जो इनके सामाजिक कौशल्य में कमियां होती हैं, या सेल्फ एस्टीम, जो ये सुनते रहते हैं ना, तू नालायक है, तू कभी नहीं सुधरेगा, तू बावर्ची बनेगा, this kind of damaging kind of, these are the conversations and the experiences that this is the fabric of what structures really the the mental health of, and this is what we need to keep in mind of how vulnerability is actually structured. तो vulnerability का पथ जो है और इसकी जर्नी जो है कुछ इस तरीके से होती है. Sheila, anything from your side before we go ahead?
We can go.
Aro, next. तो ये देखिए, इसको लेके एक हमने बनाया है कि बाल मानसिक स्वास्थ्य और सुरक्षा. अगर आप इस बीच में वल्नरेबिलिटी को रखें, जो कठिन परिस्थिति से जो बच्चे आते हैं, और देखें कि एक तरफ ऊपर से अगर आप अपनी नजर ऊपर में डालें, द लैक ऑफ क्वालिटी मेंटल हेल्थ इंटरवेंशंस. दैट now the unfortunate thing is that in all the teaching hospitals, how many of them have departments of psychiatry? How many departments of psychiatry have a postgraduate course? How many of them do specialized child work and run child guidance clinics? Very few. The number of psychiatrists in the country itself right now is only about 6,500, 7,000. The number of psychologists and trained psychiatric social workers are even less. So we are relying on the district mental health program, which is existing in most of the districts, some more than others, to really. And part of the national initiative and integrated resource, which Anuradha ma'am's department, Manoj ji, जो उपस्थित हैं हमारे डायरेक्टर, इनकी तरफ से जो सहारा मिला है हमको इस इनिशिएटिव के लिए, इसके द्वारा वी वांट टू वर्क विद दीज पीपल टू लुक एट सम ऑफ दीज इंटरवेंशंस सो दैट वी रियली स्ट्रेंथन आवर secondary and tertiary level in addition to the primary level interventions that we are planning. अब इससे क्या होता है, अगर quality mental health intervention नहीं है, it leads to an escalation of mental health problems. वहां से आती है negative responses from caregivers and service providers. फिर मानसिक समस्याएं जो वो बढ़ती हैं, protection risk बढ़ता है, mental health problems बढ़ती हैं, and this cycle keeps going on. And this is the reason why child protection and mental health are so critically linked to each other. And this is the importance and the significance of this project that we are doing, and the importance of this session. Sheila.
Yeah, I just wanted to add this whole issue of child mental health and protection. The government of Karnataka, DWCD here, has recently requested us to do a special capacity building program on runaway children. Runaway children are really a classic example of mental health and protection issues and how they are linked. आप इन बच्चों को लेंगे तो आप देखिए, पहले वो घर से भागते हैं. घर से क्यों भागते हैं? Dr. Shekhar's already referred to all these vulnerability pathways, physical abuse, sexual abuse, marital conflict at home, parents with alcoholism, illness, etc. तो बच्चे घर में नहीं रहना चाहते हैं, either because they are being abused, या घर में कुछ नहीं है, so they run to find a job, etc. तो फिर वो of course, as पुलिस पकड़ लेते हैं, फिर they come to the institution में आते हैं. तो one of the issues that the Karnataka government is recognizing very strongly is that the institutional circumstances are not ideal. The facilities are not always good. I mean, there are variations, of course, between institutions. And above all, staff conduct and their interactions with children is really proving to be a key piece in children running away. This is what the director of DWCD feels, and she asked us actually to do this training from that perspective, because what happens is बच्चे यहाँ आते हैं and they don't settle down in the institution. They're not able to adjust because they also have pre-existing mental health problems and trauma and other issues that have been unresolved. तो फिर institution से भागना चाहते हैं. We've had several incidents in Karnataka also with the observation home on the one hand, but a girls' home more recently, in fact, where a bunch of children just managed to get out. And you see what happens when children get out, you know, this bunch of girls, those children from the observation home, wo fir street pe aa jate hain. And again, they come under peer influence. They're exposed to sexual abuse, substance abuse, trafficking, etc. So they are, you know, they never get out of this cycle of protection and mental health. So it's because their mental health issues and psychosocial issues were not addressed that they are back to the protection issues. And then, you know, they will come back into the system with the same issues. And we call this the revolving door syndrome. We see many, many children like this. The same issue applies when CWCs, particularly, we have found कि ये repatriation decision जो होता है, देखिए जी आपका घर है, क्यों भाग के आए हैं? घर है, माता पिता हैं, वो है तो वही आपके लिए best situation है, घर जाओ. So, you know, every time children run, then when we don't do really thorough home studies or we don't assess कि घर में क्या हो रहा है, बच्चा क्यों भाग रहा है, problem क्या है, is there abuse, is there neglect, is there, you know, a complete lack of emotional attachment, you know, माँ की दूसरी शादी हुई है, father doesn't want the child, etc. Is it those kind of things? Or does the child have attention deficit hyperactive disorder, you know, untreated ADHD, because of it, which the child is always getting into trouble? तो अगर ये बातें resolve नहीं की जाएं, when we do not interview a child to really understand, हम child rights की बात करते हैं. Child rights means how do we talk to children, you know, this culture of conversations that Dr. Shekhar was mentioning, so that we listen to children with a completely open mind कि problem क्या है, and then we act accordingly, not come with preconceived notions कि घर है तो वापस जाना है. So these are some critical issues that we hope through the national initiative that we will be able to address, but that is an example. Please, Dr. Shekhar. Next.
Before I go to the next half of the program, we've reached the halfway mark today. And as we go into specific mental health problems of children and an analysis of how we apply principles of mental health and principles of psychological formulation to really look at emotional behavioral issues, I will just stop briefly and invite people if they have any questions to put or any experiences to share at this point of time, and we'll spend a couple of minutes in addressing those, and then I will go on to part 2 and the second half of what I wish to share. If anyone wishes to share an experience, share some thoughts based on what we've said so far, or ask any questions of Sheila or me, we'd be happy to address them, and we'd be happy to listen to your perspectives on this.
Sir, I'm Rupali Banerjee Singh. I'm member secretary in NCPCR.
Namaskar, ma'am. Please
I was
go
just
ahead.
wondering, Namaskar. I was just wondering, sir, if you could let us know, because a child is from 0 to 18 years of age.
Ji.
So, as per our constitution.
Ji.
So, how do we understand that the child is suffering an emotional problem, emotional deficit? Because up to the age of 5, he or she cannot express themselves. So, as a parent or as a teacher, or as anybody in society, how do you realize that this child is suffering from some kind of emotional trauma, sir?
Rupali ma'am, you have made a fantastic prediction of what we're going to cover now, because this is exactly what we're going to be covering. That for this exactly the same experience, what would be the response of a 14-year-old and what would be the response of, let's say, a 3-year-old, and how do you read indicators? That it's a lovely question, and we would be addressing it as we go into the second half. Yes, anyone else?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Vanshika, and I've been actually I was working with Don Bosco for UNHCR for the past 1 year, and we've experienced some really pathetic sort of issues with regards to the condition of children, and the kind of abuse that they go through, and even I mean the committees that are supposed to be protecting them, when they come out and say that for example, for Somali children, they say that ये तो drugs के लिए आते हैं यहाँ पे, and ये तो यहाँ पे drugs फैला देंगे, इनको वापस भेज दो, and stuff like that. So it really discourages you, like and the child as well, because it's happening in front of the child. So it's very I don't know how to explain. I just wanted to share an experience. It was not a question. And I was just wondering that, in that case, how to bring about a change that's actually impactful. So you're on mute.
Yeah.
You're on mute.
No. It's thank you very much, Vanshika, for bringing this to our attention. This partly relates to what I had started this session with, our own notions of children and childhood, and whether we conceptualize children, and partly this stereotyping of certain kinds of children, or stigmatizing. So stereotyping, discrimination, and stigmatization, and in the whole culture of exclusion and oppression, which are kind of social processes that play out. That the reason I'm happy you brought this up is, while I may not be able to address it in detail in this session, it gives us the idea to actually organize another session where we will take this kind of issue that you have raised, and as part of the series that we're going to run in this initiative, we've already completed one called August Talks, where we've had 4 talks. It's available on YouTube for viewing. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is this initiative and the ministry's YouTube channel that one was on child rights, the other on mental health, one on education, and the third on the concept of grief. So we will take your suggestion on board to actually organize a special session on this particular issue. Is in life skills, जहाँ लैंगिकता, कामुकता से संबंधित विषय है, या bullying, perpetration ये, and then developmental disabilities, जहाँ भावनात्मक और व्यावहारिक समस्याएं हैं, क्योंकि जिन बच्चों में इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी होता है, द रिस्क ऑफ अब्यूज, स्कूल ड्रॉप आउट, नॉन इंक्लूजन, और जिनको लर्निंग प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं, उससे उन पे आत्मविश्वास और आत्मसम्मान को जो ठोस पहुंचता है, एंड व्हाई दे ड्रॉप आउट ऑफ स्कूल एंड गेट इनटू हाई रिस्क नेबरहुड्स. सो चाइल्ड, लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, एंड शीला विल टेक यू थ्रू what this means in terms of interpretations of child mental health.
So we don't have a great deal of time, so we've just tried to skim the surface for you today. As you can see, there are very many types of anxiety disorders. Separation anxiety that young children particularly have, which, as I said, is about children who, cling to their caregivers, जो उनकी देखभाल करते हैं, उनको छोड़ते नहीं हैं, कहीं नहीं जाना चाहते हैं, they don't socialize with other people and so on. School refusal, as the name suggests, is children who absolutely refuse to go to school. Suddenly they stop going to school and they don't want to go anymore. Bedwetting. Selective mutism is a very interesting anxiety disorder, really, where children do not talk to everybody. They talk to very selective people. In other situations, particularly most social situations, they remain mute. That's why it's called selective mutism. Social anxiety, which is basically children who do not, who are low on the social skill development side, who are exceedingly shy, excessively afraid of new situations, social situations, and so on. And aise log to we know a lot of adults who are like this. So people who grow up to be exactly the same with social anxiety. So these anxieties, different kinds of anxiety, occur in different contexts, which we've already discussed. So in the context of violence, alcohol in the family, parental discord, specific learning disabilities, children who have learning disabilities are very likely also to have school refusal symptoms for obvious reasons. They get into trouble all the time. They're not able to perform in school, so they don't want to go to school. Schools are terrible place for them, so scary. Child sexual abuse, of course, is a major context for anxiety. It's one of the first things that we routinely check for. So when you see any of these kind of anxiety related behaviors, Anuradha ma'am was asking, how do we know? So, when children refuse to go to school, or they refuse to leave home, or they have psychosomatic symptoms, which basically means सर में दर्द, पाँव में दर्द, पेट में दर्द, और ये दर्द हमेशा स्कूल जाने के टाइम में, ये दर्द हमेशा ट्यूशन के टाइम में, ये दर्द हमेशा जब वो अंकल घर आता है ना तो ये हो जाता है. So these are medically explained aches, unexplained aches and pains that children sometimes say they have, and that get interpreted as drama. देखा, ये हमेशा झूठ बोलता है, ड्रामा करता है. But children are not pretending or doing a drama. The truth is, there is a pain, there is an ache. It may not be here, it may not be here, but it is here. And children don't know how to express it. As Rupali ma'am said, they don't know how to verbally express their distress or their worries. And that's when children say that they have all these aches and pains. So basically, it is an anxiety disorder when children say these things. It's not always a neurological problem, especially, you get the neurological test done, and, people have usually gone to several medical doctors, and then they finally come to us and we find the child is being sexually abused, or the child is being bullied in school, or the child has a learning disability and is in severe anxiety about going to school. So these are typical behaviors that are anxiety related. Depression, which people are more familiar with, as changes or dysfunction in eating and sleeping, high levels of irritability. The thing about depression, interestingly, especially in many children and adolescents that we see, and is important to note, anxiety, anger, depression are siblings, if you really want to think of them a certain way. तो कुछ बच्चे ऐसे होते हैं कि बहुत इरिटेबल हैं, बहुत रेस्टलेस हैं, लोगों पे चिढ़ते हैं, and everybody says, इसको हो क्या गया? He's so angry these days. What we think to be an anger and aggression related behavior often has, or many times has, an underlying issue of depression. So depression can present with typical symptoms like crying and sadness and not wanting to do anything, low energy, tiredness, some aches and pains. वो लक्षण ज्यादा आसानी से हम पहचान जाते हैं, बट जब अग्रेशन, रेस्टलेसनेस और इरिटेबिलिटी के फॉर्म में आता है, इट्स मच हार्डर टू recognize depression. So just a note on depression. Again, the contexts are similar. Various emotional contexts of abuse, loss and grief, yani ki when a child loses a primary caregiver, loses a family, abandonment, experiences of rejection. When we see children in the observation home, We're always looking at their behaviors. ये चोरी किया है, ये violent है, ये गांजा पीता है. But if you really looked at what lies beyond that, how many people who are assessing these children with all these externalizing behavioral symptoms are actually looking for depression, are looking for post-traumatic stress disorder, are looking for anxiety. And it's all important to remember, especially in the context of children in conflict with the law and children with, you know, conduct or behavioral issues, that a given child could have both disorders, internalizing as well as externalizing. ये नहीं कि इस बच्चे का anxiety और depression है, or rather let's put it the other way around, ये नहीं कि इस बच्चे का substance use वगैरह है तो he cannot have depression and other internalizing issues. So they can occur concurrently. Therefore assessments are important.
Next, Auro.
Yeah.
उसी तरह से अब शीला जी ने इंटरनलाइजिंग के बारे में बात किया, एक्सटर्नलाइजिंग पे ध्यान दें. एंड फ्रॉम अ डायग्नोस्टिक पर्सपेक्टिव, जो ये अटेंशन डेफिसिट जिसका हमने जिक्र किया था, जिसमें ध्यान पे कमी होती है, काम खत्म नहीं कर सकते हैं, चंचल है, नटखट है, बैठ नहीं सकते हैं, एंड इम्पल्स, तो इसके 3 लक्षण हैं: ओवर एक्टिविटी, अटेंशन डेफिसिट एंड इम्पल्सिविटी. और ये न्यूरो डेवलपमेंटल इश्यू है. It's a regulation problem. You know, remember I said एक तो वो इमोशनल रेगुलेटर वाली बात जो है, जो अटैचमेंट इंजरी से होता है, और जहां तक कि व्यवहार में और निर्णय पे संयम अनुशासन जो होना चाहिए, which is your regulatory mechanisms on your activity levels, ये ना हो. और ये अक्सर जो कानून के संघर्ष में जो बच्चे आते हैं, जो CICL children, often seen in the children, but any child can also have it. उसी तरह से व्यावहारिक समस्याएं जो हैं, जो लड़ते हैं, चिढ़ाते हैं, the bullying, और you see them being cruel to animal and people, और destructiveness, या झूठ बोलते हैं, स्कूल से भागते हैं, बात नहीं मानते, जिद्दी हैं, and some of them progress to substance abuse as well. So one of the most critical issues in the context and basis to these externalizing behaviors is what we call as pathways to vulnerability. Pathways to vulnerability. Going on next to a very critical issue here, चाहे internalizing हो या externalizing हो, कब हम ये निर्णय लेते हैं, when do we decide that this can be dealt with by a primary person? And of course, if certification is required for a developmental disability, or there is the risk of self-harm and suicide, और आघात बहुत ही तीव्र लेवल पे है, like abuse or trafficking, and there are multiple forms. मुजफ्फरपुर कांड का ही आप उदाहरण ले लीजिए. Ladies and gentlemen, if one child has been abused once by one person, उस केस का information लेना, in evidence gathering, it means one thing. If 40 odd girls have been abused multiple times by multiple people over a long period, some known, some not known, you do the mathematics and see what the complexity of trauma is. उसी तरीके से कुछ बच्चों में substance use जो है, high frequency, high intense use, जिसमें detoxification और withdrawal symptoms बहुत high हैं, repeated runaway behavior, and ADHD है लेकिन उसका अभी तक इलाज नहीं हुआ है, untreated ADHD, या excessive violence है, या there are some odd behaviors. आपको याद होगा मैंने कहा था ये internalizing, externalizing जीवन कौशल्य और विकास से संबंधित समस्याएं कुछ आम चीजें हैं जो we will have to deal with on a regular basis and a routine basis. But some of the severe manifestations of mental illness which have onset in childhood, such as psychosis, talking to self, disoriented, suspiciousness, and so on, these become the criteria for referral that we need to keep in mind. Next, Auro.
So we can go to the next one.
Yeah. After this, yes, this is the most critical issue that we want to speak to, because this addresses the point that Sanghamitra ji had raised, and to some extent this business of young child and old child also. संक्षिप्त में मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि हर व्यवहार के पीछे, behind every behavior there is an emotion, behind every emotion there is an inner voice and thinking, behind every inner voice there is an experience, and behind every experience there's a context. Therefore, context begets experience, experience begets thoughts, inner processing, inner voice, antardhwani. Antardhwani begets bhavna, and bhavna begets vyavahar. ये एक basis है, ये ढांचा जो है, it is the basis for developing response and understanding the child's inner voice, because the behavior may be withdrawal, but the emotion can either be sadness or anger, and the inner voice is completely different, though the context and experience is the same. Sheila?
Yeah, this is actually the basis of almost all child work we do and child mental health work we do. We often look at behaviors because that's what we can see. व्यवहार जो है वो वही हमें दिखता है, वही tangible है. तो अक्सर हम बच्चों को बोलते हैं मत रो, चिंता मत करना, गुस्सा क्यों हो रहे हो, मत चिल्लाओ. So when we do that, we are only targeting the behaviors. And when we target behaviors in that way, we are not effective, because a behavior does not fall out of the sky. It comes from somewhere. There is a basis to it. And that is why when we give these responses, they are pointless when we say, don't do this or don't do that. So what, as Dr. Shekhar says, is what lies behind every behavior is an emotion. So behind behaviors like bedwetting, isolation, the child doesn't play with anybody, withdraws from other people, khana nahi kha raha hai, there are emotions of sadness or anxiety or worry or fear. If you take another example where children are, verbally abusive, hitting other children, those are behaviors. What is the emotion behind it? Usually it is anger or resentment. If you take a behavior like stealing, what is the emotion behind it? It is deprivation. It is the desire really for something, right? Behind every emotion, there is an inner voice. ये अंतर्ध्वनि क्या होता है? अंतर्ध्वनि, very briefly and simply, is हम सबके मन में एक अंतर्ध्वनि फिल्म जैसा सारा दिन चलता रहता है. Even if we don't articulate it, it is the voice in our minds. ये सेशन कब खत्म होगा? ये लोग संडे क्यों रखते हैं ये सेशन? आना पड़ता है सबको. 6 बज रहा है क्या? खाना क्या बनाऊं? Shopping जाऊं क्या आज? These are our inner voices that are continually playing out. So we have some voices that play out continually like this, and others when we view a given situation. What are our inner voices about an experience that we had this morning? किसी को रोड पे देखा, एक accident था, we saw a child begging. What, उसे कुछ दूं या ना दूं, उसको चाइल्ड केयर इंस्टीट्यूशन में रेफर करूं क्या, किसी को फोन करूं क्या, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए. These are inner voices. So how we view a situation and process our experiences is what inner voices are about. Where do these inner voices come from? An experience, as I said. And where does an experience come from? It comes from a context. So to give you a simple example, let's take a couple of examples actually before we close our discussion. Let's take the experience, let's take the example of a sexually abused child. Let's take 2 sexually abused children, both 16 years old, and use this framework and see how it could play out. The beauty of this framework is we could use it from left to right or right to left, and let me show you how. So if we take 2 16-year-old girls, both of them are abused by a family member, let's say sexually abused, right? So the context is one in which, let's say it was child sexual abuse by a family member, to keep it simple, yeah? There could be many other contextual issues depending on the characteristics of the family, etc. The experience is in all probability one that is difficult or traumatic. Okay, let's look at the inner voice of child A. One child, let's say, has voices, inner voices that say, why did he do this to me? Does this happen to all girls? Does this happen in all houses? I am dirty. It was my fault, right? I am responsible for this. Should I tell anybody? What will people think of me? Right? लोग क्या कहेंगे मेरे बारे में? फिर क्या होगा? मेरा फ्यूचर खराब हो जाएगा क्या? कोई मुझसे बात नहीं करेगा शायद. शायद कोई मुझसे शादी भी नहीं करेगा. ऐसे भी मैंने सुना है. Right? If you look at this set of inner voices, what would be the emotion that it would lead to? The primary emotion. I'm guessing that most of you are thinking anxiety. Yani ki chinta, anxiety, worry, right? And the behaviors for this child are likely to be withdrawing from everybody, किसी से बात नहीं करना, poor academic performance, क्योंकि class में जाती है तो she's not able to concentrate, क्योंकि सारा time यही बातें उसके मन में घूमती रहती हैं. This is anxiety processing. Okay. So, yes, somebody said avoidant behavior. So yes, she probably avoids people, right? She particularly avoids that particular family member and so on. Let's take child 2, same context, same experience. This child's inner voices, you know, the way she has processed and understood what has happened to her may be very different. वो सोच रही है कौन ये मेरे को ऐसे करने को? How does he have the right to do this? I hate him. Are all men like this? How dare they do things like this? So you see, the experience here is one of injustice, of anger, of resentment. So the emotion is anger, and the behavior, therefore, that people are seeing is, यार आजकल इससे बात भी नहीं कर सकते हैं, हर समय चिल्लाती है, चीजें लेकर फेंकती है, लोगों के साथ अक्सर लड़ाई करती है. So you see, two children who have the same context and experience can therefore have completely different emotional and behavioral issues because of this very critical middle piece. And the question for us when we are assessing a child is, हम हमेशा कल्पना करते हैं कि इस बच्चे के मन में अंतर्ध्वनि क्या हो सकता है, उस व्यवहार या बिहेवियर के पीछे क्या इमोशन है, क्या भावनाएं हैं, और ये भावनाएं किस तरह के अंतर्ध्वनि से आ रहे हैं. Why is this? If you look at this framework from an intervention perspective, this middle piece, ये अंतर्ध्वनि की बात जो है, सबसे critical है intervention के लिए, क्योंकि देखिए जैसे मैंने कहा, behaviors अगर हम बदलने के लिए कहें तो no child is going to change, मत करो वगैरह. Similarly, you can't change emotions by saying don't be sad. अरे चिंता मत करो, गुस्सा होना गलत है. How effective is that? But if if you look on the left side, ये context और experience जो है, ये तो बीती हुई बातें हैं ना, जो हो गया वो सो हो गया. कुछ changes कर सकते हैं, but primarily the incident in such cases has taken place. So the space and the window for our intervention and the target of our intervention when we work with a child, assessment के लिए, समझने के लिए और intervention के लिए, is the inner voice. If we change the inner voice of the child from I am dirty to he is dirty, it's my fault changes to it's his fault, it's not my fault, तब emotions बदलेंगे? Of course. Then the anxiety reduces. When the anxiety reduces and there's a change in emotions, then the behavior changes. So that is how we analyze using this framework in this direction. Let me give you an example. If we started the other way, आपके पास 4 बच्चे आते हैं, right? चारों बच्चों का anxiety है, right? All of them have anxiety issues. Their behaviors are all similar. withdrawn है, खेलते नहीं हैं, खाना ठीक से नहीं खाते हैं, रात को nightmares हैं, okay, avoidant behavior है वगैरह. All 4 of them have anxiety behaviors, so the emotion is anxiety, right? Let's look now at the left extreme. आपने और inquiry की और आपको पता चला कि एक बच्चे का anxiety का basis है learning disability. Maths में learning problems है, or the child is in severe distress because the teacher says, you know, every day there are problems in school, useless ho, homework nahi karke aate ho. So the child is really anxious and therefore these behaviors. Dusre bachche mein you realize ki this child comes from a situation of domestic violence and severe marital context, marital problems between the parents. And therefore, this child is really anxious and has started having these anxiety behaviors. तीसरे बच्चे में आपने देखा कि child sexual abuse का कुछ issues है. चौथा बच्चा में आपने देखा कि sexual abuse नहीं है, physical abuse है, right? पांचवा बच्चा में आपने देखा कि इसका severe bullying चल रहा है school में. So you see exactly the same behavior but completely different contexts. So you can, the beauty of this framework is exactly that. You can use it in either direction. And then you realize the implications it has for intervention. Because if you understand the contextual differences, if the behavior is the same, we can't have the same treatment for all 4 children with anxiety, right? We have to see what the context is. You know, a child with learning disability, we need school interventions. We need learning support. For the child with parental marital issues, we would have family level interventions and marital counseling, completely different interventions. Similarly, the first example I gave you, the behaviors are entirely different and the context could be the same. So to end our part of the discussion today, ladies and gentlemen, context matters. Children's inner voices matter. And here is how we construct and analyze and, you know, at a basic level, understand, you know, when people ask us, why do children behave the way they do? The next time you hear that, aap kalpana kijiye, you may know the 2 ends of this framework, and you really need to, the skill of all of us as childcare workers lies in how we construct and imagine the inner voice and use a framework like this to really understand why this child is where he or she is. So if you have any questions or clarifications, we will leave the last 15 minutes, I think, Dr. Shekhar. Shall we?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
Let's
We have 15-20 minutes for... so just to cap what Sheila ji has said, you know, as far as the context is concerned, systemic interventions, you know, play themselves, you know, whether it is passing orders for placement and so on. But where mental health is concerned, it's about the personhood of the child. It's about the processing of the inner voice and the cognitive processes in the child's mind that really determines which way behavior will go. There are 2 issues that have already been posted on chat, and I refer to them. Beena ji actually raised the issue of why children, it's a question really centered around children and the people who work for children and response systems and processes. And here's your answer, Beena ji, you know, because often when we see only the behavior, we respond only to the behavior, it becomes very limited, you know, unless we understand where the behavior comes from. If we respond only to the context, we really miss the mental health part of, and this is the importance of connecting this to what I said earlier about our conceptions of childhood and how we really work, you know, with children. Srinivas ji also raised an issue. He said when going forward from this session today, when they go into other sessions, and the example he uses is when we have many trainees and we are doing a session on POCSO or a session on violence, and if a trainee let's say, breaks down and is affected, how do we respond to it? And we've had this, quite often that, and the example I gave is, I did this session once, and I'll just take 2 minutes, I crave your indulgence. I was actually doing a session on art. The reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is that children often do not internalize bad experiences as language, particularly they're very young. It is internalized as images, as smells and sounds. So just asking the child, ki batao kya hua, batao kya, you may not get a description or a narrative. And that's why we use art and drawing quite a bit. And I was doing the session where I said, close your eyes and think of a time in your childhood which was difficult. As a narrative, they thought of it. Then I said, think of it not as a narrative in words, but if it was to be presented as an image, a still picture, ek chhabi, to wo kya hogi? Then they thought of it. And I said, now draw it. And the purpose of the exercise was that they draw it and they show it to the next trainee, and the next trainee has to look at the drawing and try to guess what experience does it represent. And I looked here and I see that this person had broken down. And now, what do I do as a trainer? Do I say, would you care to step out for a minute and compose yourself and come back? By which the dangers of her saying, "Dekha kaise बेइज्जती कर दी मेरी." बोला कि, would you care to step out and compose yourself and come back सबके सामने? So what I said is, it's quite okay for you to share, quite okay not to share. Why don't I start with someone else? I looked at this person and he was also crying. Then I said, listen, this is a very powerful moment. I want to say this. All of you found this space safe enough to share your feelings and emotions. Let us recognize the power of this moment and give it the respect that you require as an individual. And then we will move on to so this whole issue of facilitation and what we call as andragogy, which is, adult teaching as opposed to pedagogy. In fact, one of the sessions that I often do is sessions on learning and methodology, irrespective of what the content is. So Srinivaji, I'd be quite happy to really, going ahead as part of our initiative, do some sessions only on methodology और online को कैसे use कर सकते हैं. Face to face जब आएगा तो और भी बताऊंगा, लेकिन online को कैसे हम creative तरीके से use कर सकते हैं. And this also addresses the issue that Ahana Dasgupta raises. Young children also express through games and play, and games and play is very critical to therapeutic work with children. And Anila Panda, thank you very much for appreciating Sheila's explanation on the inner voice and the external voice. And thank you, Vanshika, also for raising the whole issue of unlearning. We believe that unlearning is a very powerful, all of us are victims of our own frameworks of learning, and to look at, different ways of, I often say one of the mistakes that people make when they go to Agra is they go in the morning and they come back in the evening. You cannot do justice to Agra. You need to go there for a couple of days, so that you can say, ताज को दूर से देखा, पास से देखा, बाहर से देखा, अंदर से देखा, आगे से देखा, पीछे से देखा, धूप में देखा, छांव में देखा, धूप में देखा, बारिश में देखा, जब संगमरमर का रंग बदलता है, और दिन में देखा और रात में, वो भी पूर्णिमा के रात में 500 रुपए का जो स्पेशल टिकट होता है. That's and this is the beauty with children, because children are natural born philosophers. They have the gift of curiosity and wonder. इसीलिए तो बच्चों के लिए, to come back to the point that Ahana made about play, for a child, even a discarded trophy wrapper is a plaything, because it has texture, it has sound, it has flight if you drop it, and you can build it into shapes that. So a child will look at an object in every possible way, and that's the beauty both of methodology and of mental health work with children. So Manish's question is, how do you deal with selective mutism in a 3.5-year-old child? That And we start, and here also, Manish, connecting it to what Anna mentioned, is the power of play. कि जिस संदर्भ में बोलना आवश्यक है, उम्र जाते जाते, आप 3.5 साल की है, कभी 6 साल की होगी, कभी 16 साल की होगी, कभी 30 साल की होगी. By and large, children who are shy continue to be more or less shy adults. By and large, so through play and through theater techniques, you know, when Sheila mentioned phone games, yeah, imagine that you're the prime minister of the country and you're giving a speech. What kind of speech will you give? Or this 3.5-year-old teacher, child becomes a teacher and the rest of the family becomes students. This 3.5-year-old child becomes a bus conductor and the rest become passengers. This 3.5-year-old child becomes a shopkeeper and the rest of the family become customers. And through these kind of transactions, every social situation where transactions and articulations is necessary, ये इसके ज़हन में already embedded है. So the language, the script is there. So when push comes to shove, 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, the script is already there. So that's one way. The other way is the technique of graded exposure. That if you look at a child, for example, who has social anxiety and selective mutism, stage pe nahi jana, that you prepare the child ki sabke, you know, 1000 लोगों के सामने स्टेज में करने की जरूरत नहीं है. कुछ प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, अकेले ही प्रैक्टिस करना, सिर्फ मम्मी डैडी के सामने, तो और इमीडिएट फैमिली को बुलाते हैं और फिर उस स्टेज में जाएंगे, लेकिन खाली स्टेज होगा, ऑडियंस में कोई नहीं होगा, या सिर्फ तेरे क्लासमेट्स होंगे. So these are all behavioral techniques of graded exposure through which these kind of social inhibition, social anxiety, behavioral inhibition, selective mutism, this is a spectrum of conditions under a concept known as behavioral inhibition, where children do not like new things and they're not explorative. And they so selective mutism, social anxiety, these are part of a spectrum, and these are methods by which. The other thing is to work on the child's self-image, and the child speaks to, you know, some relative who the child is very fond of, and when you tell the child, कितने अच्छे तरीके से तूने नानी को समझाया, शाबाश, मजा आ गया. So the child then images her identity as someone who has the ability to communicate effectively. And therefore, the whole self-image changes. So these are some of the methods by which, you know, one deals with.
I
right.
just wanted to say that we are, you know, since Anuradha ma'am raised the issue of parenting, it's interesting you should say that, ma'am. Our next series is going to be a parenting series. So we will most definitely let you know, so that perhaps all those who are parents and those who are interested could join us. We are still planning it, but we want to do parenting for young children, parenting for adolescents, and how it works. So we may do a fairly detailed 6 to 8 part series on parenting. So we'll keep you posted, just an aside.
Thank you very much for that, Sheila. We'll also keep you posted about, let's say, a request that's come, which Sanghamitra has put to say, can we have a program exclusively on methods and techniques of handling children with behavioral and emotional problems, with emphasis on children in institutions? And children in institutions are certainly a matter of our concern, and we'd be happy to take that on board, Sanghamitra ma'am. And our job and responsibility is to take all these requests on board, and this is the reason that the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, has really supported us in this national endeavor. And it would be our honor and privilege to put all this together, and I'm putting together a team ably led by Sheila, and I have other people who've joined me as thematic leads in the areas of mental health, Bindya, and child protection, Chaitra, Law, Smriti Shukla. We have Medya and Preeti, who joined us as project officers, Dr. Muthu, who's joined as a psychiatrist, Aurobind, who's joined us as the technical and the IT coordinator. And we are building the team. Of course, COVID has really slowed things down because of restrictions on travel and face-to-face. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you, Anila, for appreciating the session. Anila, of course, asks about processes that need to be adopted to make a child who's the age of 16 to 18 to be engaged and to be creative. So we are taking in all these suggestions to really structure going ahead. That Junaid asks if there's any study conducted by NIMHANS on parents of children who have mental health disorders. There certainly have been some studies, and we should be able to at least send you some, parenting in the context of, I have myself written some stuff. We will put all this together and we'll take all these suggestions on board.
Ahana ma'am has a question on trauma, which we will quickly answer. The impact of early childhood trauma can be lifelong, all the way into adulthood and long into adulthood. So the answer, ma'am, is early intervention as early as possible to counter the effects of trauma and to resolve issues for the child. Otherwise, when it occurs in early childhood, it carries on to middle childhood. It has its own manifestations in various behavioral contexts in adolescence, including in high-risk behaviors. So either, like we said, either in terms of, in the form of internalizing behaviors like severe anxiety, depression, which can be debilitating for a child's functioning, or serious high-risk disorders like behaviors such as substance use, high-risk sexual behaviors, and so on. And these have long-term consequences for interpersonal relationships well into adulthood, including for intimate partner relationships. We have known many people who have started out with early childhood trauma, which has been unresolved.
And as Sheila says, this many other requests are coming in for collaboration. We are happy to take, and many suggestions as well. And we are happy to take all that on board going ahead. And thank you everyone for your affirmation and for today's deliberations. Thank you very much.
Please write to us on the email we put out to you, so that all your suggestions and any requests you want to contact us with, we would happily take, as Dr. Shekhar said. So we're just putting out our email. Otherwise, you know where to find us through MOWCD in any case.
It will be info@nimhanschildprotect.in. info@nimhanschildprotect.in with all your suggestions and requests. It would be our honor and privilege to attend to all these requests. And now that there are 3 minutes left to 6 o'clock, I will invite Ms. Anuradha Chakti, Joint Secretary, Women and Child Ministry, Government of India, to give the concluding remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Before I conclude, I'd just like to invite Rupali Singh, ma'am. She's my senior and member secretary in CPCR. I'd like her to share a few words with us.
Thank you.
Rupali, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Rupali, ma'am. Thank you very much.
It's a privilege, Dr. Seshadri and Ma'am Sheila, to hear you today. And I'm sure I have definitely gained a lot during this session. I didn't know so many aspects. Of course, I'm very interested in this field because it's really enriching and it's for the future of our children. I thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Over
to you, Anuradha, ma'am, for your concluding.
To say a few words.
Please.
Manoj is the sutradhar for a lot of things. Manoj doesn't seem to be here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, he's there.
Ma'am, I think under your initiative, this was a very informative session. And as we know that behavior of everyone is different, and behavior at different time of the same person may be different also. So I think it is very challenging task for a person who is dealing in such an area, because in sometimes I may behave differently, but other time I may behave differently. So it is a very tough task for a person who is taking the course on the this mental challenge and all. So I think with the help of Nimhans, we and everyone who is dealing with the child protection area will get a maximum benefit out of this. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Seshadri, and thank you, Sheila ji. Thank you so much for taking up our request. And I'm sure everybody, from what I can see, everybody right from CARA, NIPSED, the ministry, and NCPCR, everybody's really appreciated this session. And we may ask you for another one. We may request for another one because it's very interesting. One thing that when I was going through it, I was feeling, every time, like when somebody gets married, the first thing should be a session like this on, you have kids, how you going to bring them up and what to look for. It's not only for the people and institutions, but for a family as a whole to understand type of issues, what sort of things that children can face and how it can affect their development right across is very, very important. And thank you so much. We'll definitely be, I think, requesting for a few more sessions, especially on parenting. And I'm sure everybody's benefited. And the experts from NIPSED, I'm sure, would agree with me on this. And thank you so much again.
Thank you very much.
Good day.
And thank you, everyone.
Good day to all of you.
Yeah. Be safe and in good cheer. We'll be back.
Enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.